This video is sponsored by Deep Cut Studios. For a wide range of fantastic gaming resources such as battle mats, dice trays and pre-painted bases, check out the description below.
Now Zipp, or should I say Captain Zipp, was not always the rather annoying terror of Malifaux's skies that he is now. He started his life like most gremlins, down in the Bayou where he was born, causing all sorts of trouble. That was until he chanced upon an Aethervox airing of one of those audio adventures, those fictional stories they air every once in a while, where a square-jawed hero fights against a dastardly foe in an overly dramatic fashion. Now when Zipp heard this adventure, it sparked something in him. He now wanted nothing more than to emulate the fantastic character in that story. The way the character spoke with such confidence, the way the character's plan just seemed to come together, the way the character laughed maniacally as the hero fell into their trap. Zipp knew, after hearing that story, he was destined to be the greatest villain Malifaux had ever known. He immediately joined a gremlin crew robbing caravans near the Bayou, and although they were somewhat successful, he knew that wasn't enough. He needed to move beyond simple banditry and score something big. And score big he did when he stole an experimental ship right under the guild's nose. I have no idea how he did it, but I'm sure it was some combination of stealth, incompetence on the part of the guild, and a whole lot of dumb luck. Of course, being gremlins, he and his crew had no idea how to fly, fix, or really do anything on that ship. Thankfully, there was already an available, if not exactly willing, helping hand. Earl Burns was the master engineer of that ship, and he had the misfortune of being on it when the gremlins made their move. Now that ship was his pride and joy, and he wanted nothing more than to see it put into capable hands. Sadly, gremlin and capable are two words that don't usually go together, which is probably why he hasn't put too much effort into escaping. Doesn't want those stupid gremlins breaking apart his ship, or crashing it by pulling random levers. Strangely enough, Earl Burns is not the only human on the ship. There's actually another human there working of his own volition, Johann Creedy. He was an independent contractor for the guild, and although he wasn't very creative, he had a strong work ethic, and was paid handsomely by the guild for his services. Money that was not going to the MSNU in the form of union dues. You see, Johann was a bit of a loner, and joining anything was not his style, unions especially. The MSNU tried to convince him in their usual aggressive manner, and Johann replied with a few hammers to the face. Eventually, it got so bad, Johann decided to quit working on the ground and work for Captain Zipp in the sky. And although most would find it hard to work for a bunch of gremlins, he seems to find the entire situation rather amusing. Along with these humans are three other folks in his crew that might give you trouble if you need to go toe-to-toe with them. The first is Mancha Roja, a gremlin who is big, tough, and fearless, which are rather uncommon characteristics for a gremlin. Originally part of the Malifaux Wrestling League Iron Hand tournament, he quit after he realized his previous promoter, Wong, was taking all of the attention for himself. And if you put on a colorful mask and do high-flying moves all day, the last thing you want is some other gremlin hogging all the spotlight. He and his wrestling entourage now work for Zipp as part of his boarding crew, subduing targets with body slams, chokeholds, and other rather impractical but very theatrical fighting moves. Now don't let that mullet on Bert Jepson's head fool ya. He is damn skilled with his lucky jackknife, and even his backwater pepper box, which is admittedly the most ridiculous looking gun I have ever seen, is still extremely deadly, especially when it is aimed at his favorite targets, the members of the 10 Thunders. And then there's Captain Zipp's first mate, a Silurid, who got the job by, eating the previous first mate. Although Zipp was a little miffed at first, he soon realized that the Silurid was really good at keeping the usually chaotic gremlins in line. I mean, sure, he eats a gremlin every once in a while, but it's a small price to pay for such a capable second in command. Renaming the ship the Infamy, and buying supplies and guns from some Bayou smugglers, Zipp began his own villainous story. He now travels the skies of Malifaux, looking for towns and ships to raid. And when he finds a target that looks real juicy, he flies down on his moonshine-powered jetpack and wields his lightning gun, followed close behind by his team of iron skeeters and flying pigs, all of them ready to rob their target blind. After Captain Zipp's monologue, of course. I mean, he is a villain after all, and you can't be a proper villain without a proper monologue.
Hi guys, and welcome back to our Malifaux Masters breakdown, where we showcase the factions and personalities vying for soul stones and dominance within the Broken City. Today's episode focuses on the highly mobile annoyance that is Captain Zipp and his infamous keyword of Sky Bandits, who loot in the name of both Bayou and Outcast factions. The infamous crew specialise in exceptional movement and repositions to harry enemy flanks and objectives. Zipp's followers make use of excellent card cycling and marker manipulation to ensure opposing actions are always costly. The most obvious example of this comes from the showboating ability, which allows any infamous model to draw a card at the end of its activation if it cheated fate, often leading to Zipp's crew cheating simple or victorious duels with lower cards in the hope of strengthening their hands for defense later. Additionally, almost all infamous models feature some way of gaining additional movement benefits during their activations, making them exceptionally hard to pin down in combat or deny their schemes. This is best shown through their free loot bonus action, which can place a model into base contact with an enemy scheme marker within 3 inches before trading it in for a card. Leading the line for the Sky Pirates is Captain Zipp, a phenomenal Move 8 flying master with a potent concealing aura and 6-inch reposition defensive trigger. His chatty ability forces opponents to discard for the interaction action within 6 inches, but is offset by Zipp's own inability thanks to Got Better Stuff to Do. As such, the Master is better suited to denying opponents scheme points rather than securing his own, and can often wreak havoc with his excellent attack actions and 40mm piano markers. Boring Conversation forces willpower tests on non-walk actions, meaning that the captain can effectively harass enemies at medium range where needed. Somewhat unwittingly accompanying his master is the totem Earl Burns, who can dramatically augment flying movement in his crew thanks to his Get Your Hands Off Me ability, combined with the Chain Gang bonus action. Earl can also gain many benefits from marker removal, from card draw to healing depending on their type. Moving over to Henchmen, and the infamous feature 2 sturdy options, starting with the Gremlin Grappler Mancha Roja, a tanky beater with highly damaging attacks and flurry. Mancha's 10 wounds are augmented by his Cage Fighter defensive trigger attack and the Shielded from My Time Is Now, meaning he's incredibly hard to take down in melee. On top of this, the big Luchador can also remove markers in exchange for handing out Injured with his drop-down takedown attack action, making him an effective tech pick into crews that utilise them. Alternatively, you might consider the shared Swamp Fiend First Mate for 9 Soulstones, who trades a little of Mancha's durability for being harder to pin down thanks to stealth and butterfly jump. The First Mate also possesses a hefty attack thanks to his Anchor, and can effectively hunt enemy scheme markers thanks to his Move 6 and Leap bonus action. If you're looking for enforcers though, the infamous keyword offers 4 for your choosing. Starting with a mobile gun platform that is Bert Jebson, a shared whiz-bang model who can give himself fast thanks to his reckless quick action. Bert's Backwater Pepperbox and Clockwork Grenade are highly effective at hitting multiple enemies from 8 inches away, while his All in the Reflexes defensive ram trigger can blast back at anyone who tries to single him out. For another 8 Soulstones, you could consider the hulking Gracie, an impenetrable piggy fortress who can ferry your forces forward thanks to the Ride With Me tactical action. Gracie excels at tying down the centre of the board for victory points thanks to her 50mm base and excess of damage reduction. However, if you'd instead like to inflict some damage, then you could look towards the Outcast Johann Creedy, who sports a min 3 relic hammer along with the flurry ability to discard a card for an additional attack. Johann's low move of 4 is increased thanks to his hammer's 2-inch reach and the rush ability, while he's also a useful source of healing and condition removal thanks to his bonus action and Rebel Yell. Dipping into the kin keyword, the infamous can also field Meris LaCroix, a 6 Soulstone flying enforcer who can harass the wings through her flaming bottle and bombs away attacks. Meris can also support your forces with an additional sputtering exhaust concealment aura before pushing on in later turns to score VP out on the flanks. Speaking of sputtering flies, the 7 Soulstone Iron Skeeter minions are in the running for some of the best in the game thanks to their Move 7 and Fly With Me bonus action, making them essential for repositioning allies and scoring your schemes. With armour, concealment and solid wounds, they're not easy to take down, but rest assured it'll be spectacular when they do thanks to their Flaming Demise ability. If it's marker manipulation that you're after, then the Bayou Smuggler could be right up your alley thanks to their appraised tactical action, which can rapidly cycle cards along with their carry the loot ability. Additionally, both Drag Behind and Full Pack can disrupt marker-based crews, while the Tides of Fate can pitch a Soulstone in exchange for 2 cards in the control hand. Next up, it's Mancha's tag team buddies the Wrestlers, who offer similar damage and injury through their attack actions, with the added bonus of being able to reposition on a defensive mask trigger thanks to Squeal. Chuck these guys behind their champion and watch as you tar pit enemy fighters and whittle away at their defenses. Finally, the little flying piglet can offer incidental scheme running as well as the slow condition thanks to its dazzling flourish attack action, which can be excellently high value against enemies injured by your Wrestlers. The main strengths of the infamous keyword are the maneuverability and their access to excellent repositioning, which allows significant scope for a wide range of schemes and strategies. Many opponents will have to be very aware of how far they move forward, as it's a common sight for the Sky Pirates to just simply breeze past them turn 2 and then lead them on a merry chase further into the game. The crew's abilities to hinder enemy flips and damage ensures that they have some level of survivability, while also being able to flex their list building between damage and evasion. Zipp himself can be an absolute nightmare to deal with, kiting the enemy's attention long enough for the rest of his deckhands to do the main work of the game. Finally, the combination of blast damage and marker manipulation can make the infamous a highly effective counter pick into many crews, often creating a disruptive playstyle that forces less than ideal choices for the opponent. However, if you're coming against the infamous, fear not, there are steps that you can take to reduce their effectiveness in return. Firstly, both the stunned and stagger conditions will go a long way in bringing the movement of the crew under control. Pulse, Shockwave and Ping damage can circumnavigate a lot of their defensive abilities, while conditions such as burning and poison can wreak havoc once applied. Finally, focus shooting can eliminate some of the key scheme runners early, making it much harder for Zipp himself to score thanks to his inbuilt restrictions in scheme heavy pools. Finally, if you like the sound of Zipp's crew, then here is an example list that you can play around with. Minor tweaks to the upgrades can change depending on your preferred faction, but you can get solid mileage and movement from your skeeters on the flanks, while Mancha, Bert and the first mate tie up enemies down the centre. Have Earl accompany the metal bugs while Captain Zipp messes with key targets or masters in the backfield. And when you've got to grips with the crew, you can then look for options for expansion within both factions, such as the Lucky Emissary or the Excellent Prospector. So that brings us to the end of this Malifaux Masters breakdown. We hope it's been useful in giving you a snapshot of the crew and its mechanics. Additionally, a massive thank you to the wonderful stylings of Arvandus who you heard in the introduction. You can find more information about his channel down in the description below. For more talk about Malifaux and its masters, why not check out our podcast, The Harlefaux Show, where we break down each keyword and why you should play it. Alternatively, we have a wealth of beginner-friendly battle reports here on the channel that guide players through every flip and decision. Whichever you choose, we look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care, folks. Hi guys, thank you very much for watching our content. It means the world to us. If you'd like to see some more videos, they should be over here. And if you'd like to support our channel, keep these lights on. You can find links to our Patreon and merchandise in the description below. See you later.